Have you ever wondered what the school system has to offer you in your life? I mean, apart from the fact that you can read and write, what more? Ideally, if the inventors of the school system were thinking about you, they would have developed this system to teach you how to think, not what to think. Unfortunately, you were taught what to think. So you went through school thinking about a job and who could offer you one, instead of thinking of how you could solve a problem for someone else and get paid. How to think is the hallmark of a great leader. I'm not saying that the school system has nothing to offer you, but what I'm saying is that you have more to lose than to gain. First, you lose your money, then you lose your free thinking spirit. So you see, there's so much to lose than there is to gain. So you might want to think again what the school system has offered you. You know, it's interesting that as wonderful as Moses was, God could not have introduced himself as the God of Moses. He made him a God actually, but he never introduced himself as God of Moses. But you will find many places where it said the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob. So I ask you again, what has the school system offered you? If you would think carefully about that, you could tell yourself very frankly that there's nothing the school system has offered you. Abraham was not a schooled man. Abraham didn't attend any school. Jacob didn't attend any school. However, at a point in his life, because of love, he went through the route of schooled men, and he decided to go work for another man, putting a whole 14 years into that labor, and only got what he got. Imagine what you would do with 14 years, pursuing the career, pursuing the vision that you have laid before you, the vision of building a business, solving a problem for someone else. Imagine that. But here was this man who went through the route of schooled men who were thinking of a job, and when he got one, his salary, his wages were changed again and again and again. It's so mind-blowing why people do this to themselves. Looking at Moses, you will find a man who went through the traditional school system of Egypt and began his career, began his journey into the purposes of his life much later in life. So a journey that was supposed to have started much earlier in his life, it took 40 years and he started past 80 years. That's very mind-blowing. I mean, I could think of many things I could do within a space of 40 years. So in this video, I would like to show you the big difference between the school system and life. Stick around. Hi, I'm Dr. Zoma and this is Soarup. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so YouTube can notify you every time I drop a new video just like this one. Remember, you can always share this video with as many friends of yours as possible. Now, here is the first tip. The first big difference between the school system and life. Tip number 1. In school, you are punished for copying, but in life, you're rewarded for copying. When there's a solution to a problem, great leaders don't just think of copying and ending it there. They think of improving on the solution to the problem. First, they copy and then they uncouple it and add new features to it. That's what makes you a great leader. It makes you an exceptional leader, that you don't just copy verbatim. You copy and you add more features to it. And that's an exemplary thing to do as a leader. On the other hand, the school system would have punished you for copying. And that's the big difference between school system and life. In fact, you can't even copy effectively if you don't have a team. As a leader, you can't get to the top unless you build a formidable team that can help you get to the top. So that essentially means that copying is allowed. But you don't just stop there. You have to add new features to whatever solution you have copied. Otherwise, it would appear that you're copying someone else. You don't want to look like a second hand. You want to appear original, and that is what originality means. Adding your own features to the solution. Now, tip number 2 is that in school, you're punished for making noise, but in life, you're rewarded for making noise. Making a noise is pretty much like having something to say. And sometimes when you have something to say, you get punished in school. But in life, you get rewarded when you have something to say and you say it effectively. If you have a solution to sell to the market, you have to be deliberate to make noise about it. You get rewarded only when the marketplace knows that you have a solution for them. You don't get rewarded just because you created a solution. You have to make adequate noise about it. You have to go online and put some ads out there, create a sales process just to make sure that this solution gets to the marketplace, gets to the customers you want it to get to. That's how you get rewarded. And that is making noise. You've got to be deliberate about the noise you want to make and make an authentic one. Tip number 3. In school, you must wear a uniform, whether you're a day student or a boarding student. The boarding students usually have an after-school uniform which they must wear. Sometimes they even have a weekend uniform. These are ways to ensure that they appear with a uniform. But in life, you are expected to appear without a uniform. And that means a certain degree of fluidity. In school, you were taught the concept of certainty through some school practices, just like taking a homework and doing class lessons. There is always a time for this, a time for that, a time for school break, a time for the first lesson, a time for the second lesson. All of these teaches you the concept of certainty. But in life, you must appear fluid. There must be a certain degree of fluidity to your business and to your life. You can't afford to appear rigid and excel in life. As a matter of fact, fluidity is the only way you bring fresh perspective to your business and leadership. If you are aiming to win in life, there's no business person anywhere in the world who has ever appeared with a heavy sense of certainty and with 0 degree of fluidity who has ever won. You have to be fluid. So there are certain times when decisions have to be changed. There are certain times when you would have to go back and forth with your team just to ensure that you have the right decisions made. So this is the concept of fluidity. So you have to go back and ask yourself, are we making the right decisions at this point? Is this a two-way decision, or is this a one-way decision where once we've made it, it's virtually impossible for it to be corrected? Those are the points where you have to check and ensure that you have fluidity. If it's a two-way decision, then you have to go in. If it's a wrong decision, you come back and take the right decision. That's the concept of fluidity. But the school system has only taught you the concept of certainty. Tip number 4. In school, you're taught a lesson before the test, but in life, you're tested before the lesson. It's your ability to keep your head in the face of the challenges that will help you to learn the lesson and move on. But in school, you would have to be taught the lesson first before you're put to a test. But life doesn't happen that way. You have to face the test, and it's how you go through that test that determines the lessons you learn. If you go through it with a bad perspective, with a bad mindset, a wrong and a fixed mindset, you're not likely going to learn the lessons from that test. But if you go through it with a growth mindset, it's very important and very likely that you will learn the lessons and move on. So sometimes it's not what brought you this far that could take you farther. For most people, what brought them this far may not take them farther beyond that point. For example, as a business owner, a young business owner, maybe with your stubbornness, you were able to get your business from ground level to 150K revenue per month. That's a good thing, but you can't take yourself and your business beyond that point unless you begin to do things differently, unless you begin to learn the lessons that life wants you to learn. One of such lessons is that business is a team sport. You can't build an effective business if you're just doing it alone. So you've got to find a team and build a team. So together you build your business. And just to add to that point, we have currently a community of smart young business owners, business leaders all over the world. You can join the community by checking the link in the description and click to join. Now, in case I missed a tip about the big difference between school and life, you might want to comment in the comment section and tell me what tip I missed and maybe add yours. I would be there to check and also to learn. If you're new to this channel, this is Soaro, and I'd like you to hit that subscribe button if you've not done that, and also share this video with as many friends of yours as possible. Till I come your way next time. Peace.